In 1917, a young Indian scholar stepped off a steam train in the princely state of Baroda. He had just been appointed as the military secretary to the Maharaja, a highly prestigious government post. He was returning home carrying an intimidating stack of credentials. He held doctorates from Columbia University and the London School of Economics, and had studied law in London. He was, without question, one of the most highly educated people in the entire country. But when he reported to his new office, he was met with open disgust. The office peon wouldn't even hand him documents directly, opting instead to throw files onto his desk from a distance to avoid accidental physical contact. Things were worse outside the office. He couldn't find a single hotel willing to rent him a room. He eventually took shelter in a Parsi inn under a false name, only to be discovered and cornered by a mob of men armed with sticks who forced him onto the street. Even his progressive, educated friends, Hindu and Christian alike, refused to take him in. This man was Dr. Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar. And despite his elite global education, to the society around him, he was first and foremost a Dalit, an untouchable. Personal merit, royal patronage, and Ivy League degrees offered no protection against centuries of entrenched caste bigotry. Realizing that individual success could never shield his community, he decided to dismantle the societal hierarchy and rewrite the rules of the nation from the ground up. Ambedkar understood the systemic exclusion because he grew up in it. As a boy, he was forbidden from sitting on the classroom furniture, forced instead to bring his own gunny sack from home. If he was thirsty, he couldn't touch the school water tap. He had to wait for the school helper to pour water into his mouth from a distance. If the helper was absent, the rule was simple: no peon, no water. He sat thirsty all day. He survived this gauntlet of prejudice through the intervention of a few key mentors. One was a Brahmin teacher who recognized the boy's sharp mind. To protect his student from immediate discrimination, the teacher actually replaced the boy's original last name with his own on the school register, Ambedkar. Later, a social reformer gifted him a biography of the Buddha, planting the seeds of an egalitarian worldview. That same mentor helped secure a royal scholarship from the Maharaja of Baroda, paying for Ambedkar to study abroad. In New York and London, Ambedkar found himself in environments where his caste didn't dictate where he could walk or who he sat next to. He reportedly studied up to 21 hours a day, devouring texts on economics, volumes of sociology, and the intricacies of law. He spent those years stockpiling intellectual ammunition, mastering the legal and economic mechanisms required to design a modern, equal society from scratch. Returning to India, Ambedkar pivoted from academia to aggressive political action. He launched a newspaper called Muk Nayak, Leader of the Voiceless, to organize the marginalized. During the Mahad Satyagraha, he led thousands of Dalits to peacefully drink from a public water tank that upper castes had barred them from using. He became a fierce disruptor at the highest levels of power, clashing directly with the Indian political establishment. He demanded separate political representation for marginalized castes, putting him in direct opposition to Mahatma Gandhi, who argued that dividing the electorate would fracture the independence movement. The standoff peaked in 1932. Gandhi began a fast unto death in a Pune jail to protest Ambedkar's demand. Under intense national pressure to save Gandhi's life, Ambedkar engaged in tense, high-stakes negotiations that resulted in the Pune Pact, securing reserved electoral seats for Dalits. Ambedkar proved he would go head-to-head with any beloved national leader if it meant securing concrete legal rights for the marginalized. By 1947, India was securing its independence amidst the brutal chaos of partition. The drawing of new borders meant his constituency in Bengal suddenly became part of East Pakistan, leaving him without a seat. But the political leadership recognized an undeniable reality. Despite their past clashes and deep ideological differences, drafting a functional, modern constitution for a fractured subcontinent was impossible without his expertise. They made sure he was re-elected from Bombay. He was appointed chairman of the drafting committee. The man barred from sitting inside a classroom was now holding the pen that would define the rights of hundreds of millions. Look at this diagram of the constitutional framework. He weaponized the law to mandate what Indian society refused to do socially. Right in the center is Article 17,
which explicitly abolished untouchability and made its practice a punishable criminal offense. He didn't isolate this issue. He wove Article 17 directly into a massive, non-negotiable right to equality framework, ensuring that the state had a constitutional obligation to treat every single citizen identically under the law. His constitutional vision extended to all vulnerable groups. As India's first Minister of Law and Justice, he fiercely championed the Hindu Code Bill. He fought to reform traditional personal laws, demanding absolute property and divorce rates for women in a society that heavily restricted both. He also laid the foundation for modern Indian labor rights. During his time in the Viceroy's Executive Council, he pushed through policies establishing the minimum wage, regulated working hours, and equal pay for equal work. He viewed intellectual power as the ultimate tool for liberation. He famously described education as the milk of a lioness and believed its consumption gave the marginalized the strength to roar. His legacy guarantees that no future child in India will ever have to wait for a peon just to get a drink of water.